the crystal gems will always save the day. And if you think we can, we'll always find a way. That's why the people of this world believe in garnets, amethyst, and pearl, and Stephen!
Welcome to the first episode of Unrepentant Geeking, the show where a geek can be a geek. My name is Sean Cronenfeld, and you may be familiar with Thumb Wars, the show that I host every week on Blistered Thumbs, where I and a guest take the time to discuss one of the wide variety of issues relating to the larger medium of video games. If you've never heard of Thumb Wars, there's a link to it below this video, hint hint, but if you have watched the show before, then you should also be familiar with just how passionate, or as some prefer to describe me, long-winded, pretentious, annoying, or, dear God, why won't he shut up already, of a fellow I can be once I get going. That being said, video games are hardly the only portion of geekdom, pop culture, what have you, about which I feel such passion towards. And over time, I've come to desire a similar outlet for expressing my thoughts on these areas as the one provided for me by Thumb Wars. Or to put it another way, gotta geek, gotta geek, gotta geek. Okay, that will be all the singing, or attempts at singing as the case may be, for this week's episode, I promise. Anyways, that brings us to Unrepentant Geeking, the very show you're listening to at this very moment, and since I have probably wasted far too much time explaining a concept that likely never needed explaining in the first place, let's just get started already. So, for the first episode of the show, I decided to start things off on a high note and do a quick review of the new show that premiered on Cartoon Network on Monday titled Steven Universe. For those not familiar with it, Steven Universe comes to us from Rebecca Sugar, a former storyboard artist, writer, and composer for Adventure Time. Fans of that wonderful series will recognize such examples of her composition skills as I'm Just Your Problem and My Best Friends in the World from the episode What Was Missing, Oh Fiona from the first Fiona and Cake episode, and the show-stopping heartbreaker of a duet Remember You, sung by the Ice King and Marceline in the episode I Remember You. Or in other words, some of the most popular, beloved, and outright moving moments from the entirety of Adventure Time's 5-season run. Furthermore, Sugar also helped both write and storyboard all of those aforementioned episodes, and many more. So there was plenty of reason to be excited at the thought of her launching her own show. And I'm happy to report that based on the first episode of Steven Universe at least, Rebecca Sugar has created a show that lives up to all of my hopes and expectations, and then some. Steven Universe stars the titular Steven, who's the youngest and only male member of a group of female intergalactic warriors known as the Crystal Gems. The Gems use special gemstones embedded on their bodies to summon magical weapons in order to protect and defend the Earth from a great, and so far mysterious, threat to the world that as the show opens is basically throwing monsters at Steven's hometown of Beach City, Evangelion style. Steven is the son of a slovenly, ordinary guy named Greg Universe, and the former leader of the Gems known as Rose Quartz. In order to give birth to Steven, Rose had to give up her physical form, and also passed on her gem to Steven as well, which now resides in his belly button. The remaining gems, Stoic and Quiet Garnet, Outgoing and Wild Amethyst, and the intellectual and prim Pearl, have all taken to Steven, and treat him both as a member of the group and as a beloved younger brother. And together, the four deal with all the wonders and problems of life, both big and small. It's a great setup for a show, and one that Sugar and her team of writers and artists and performers more than make the most of. The opening episode of Steven Universe consists of two 15-minute tales that, while not true origin stories, help establish many of the key elements that will clearly drive the series going forward. Steven's background, his relationship with his father and the Gems, and the general mixing of the everyday with the fantastical are all suitably laid out in an engaging and accessible fashion that will instantly bring to mind those aforementioned episodes of Adventure Time. Steven is a bit more grounded of a series than Adventure Time, mind you, although both wear their influences proudly on their sleeves. And this highlights one of the central tenets of the series that Sugar has talked about previously in interviews: the idea of fantasy's love affair with reality. In the show, the Crystal Gems are these fantastical characters who are clearly more than human. Among other things, they do not need to eat or sleep, although they are capable of doing so should they desire. And yet they possess a strong familial bond with Steven, not despite his goofy, upbeat, and slightly clumsy nature, but because of it. Helping to raise Steven into the young man he is as the show opens has clearly had its impact on the Gems. As Sugar herself put it, they found these identities by being on Earth and being with Steven. They've become really specific people that maybe they weren't before. It's a fascinating idea, and one that I can already tell should make for both great humor and drama down the line for the series. The characters of Steven Universe already feel like real and fully developed individuals after only one episode, and there's a confidence and assuredness to the series that it took Adventure Time by comparison several seasons to achieve. The tagline for Steven Universe is Believe in Steven, and that feels very appropriate for a show that is clearly so driven by its lead's open and accepting nature. In terms of production values, Steven Universe equally shines. Each of the stories featured in the premiere included a couple more examples of Sugar's signature song work, and they were all wonderful testaments to the creator's mastery of the form. The animation is equally bright, colorful, and incredibly appealing, and I especially loved how non-conventional the series was prepared to be when it came to the body types of its leads. Plus, Sugar and her animators proved they know how to stage an action scene, and lovers of the explosions and combat side of Adventure Time need not fear about the inclusion of such in this series as well. While there are plenty of mysteries and feature plot hooks included over the course of the opening episode of Steven Universe, it's the characters in particular that will most likely strike a chord with viewers of varying ages and backgrounds. If you're a fan of Adventure Time, animation in general, or just well-made television, then I cannot recommend strongly enough that you give Steven Universe a try. The series did not have the best debut ratings, so it's vital that people go watch this one on TV, or at the very least through official channels like the Cartoon Network website or iTunes. Indeed, the first episode is currently available for free on iTunes in HD, so you have no excuse to not check out this brilliant piece of animation. This is a special series without any doubt, and it's one that will have no trouble convincing you to believe in Steven. And so that brings the first episode of Unrepentant Geeking to a close. As I've said in the past, new episodes of the show will go up every Wednesday, and I also hope to, when time is available, do additional episodes throughout the week as well. In that vein, look for, hopefully, I can't guarantee this, but hopefully, a new episode this Friday where I take a look at Thor: The Dark World. I want to thank all of you for joining me, and I also want to recommend that you go check out my other show over on Blistered Thumbs, titled Thumb Wars. If you liked Unrepentant Geeking, and boy, I really hope you did, I believe you'd also enjoy Thumb Wars as well. Please, if you feel like it, let other people know about the show, spread the word. I need all the attention I can get. I crave it. I need it. Please don't stop listening. Please. For Unrepentant Geeking, this is Sean Kronenfeld, and in the immortal words of the great sage, good night, everybody.